Hi, this is Beersborn. Welcome back to Game Design. In our last video, we added the health system for our character, and now our game is looking pretty full. We can defeat our enemy, and our enemy can defeat us. What we want to start doing now is adding the environment to the game, right? We want to start building more to the world, so it's not just a white space, and maybe adding a system so that more enemies appear, so it's not just a single enemy. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a background. Now, we already made the tiled background sprite. What we have to do now is add the tiled background into the game. To do that, we're going to right-click anywhere in the white space of our layout. We're going to insert a new object, but not a sprite this time. We're going to go past the sprite. Right below it, you'll see tiled background. Not tile map, but tiled background. I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call it background 1, in case I have more backgrounds later. And let's go ahead and load the tiled background there. There's mine. Now, the cool thing about a tiled background is that when you click and drag the corners, instead of it stretching out, it just repeats. So you can make it fit as much space as you need. No matter how big or what shape your level is, the tiled background will just fill it with its repeating pattern. We want to make sure this doesn't cover up our characters, right? For now, let's just send it to the back. If we right-click on an object, you'll see an option for Z order. If X is left to right and Y is top to bottom, Z is like forward and backwards. So if you click on Z order, you see an option to send to top or send to bottom. If we send to bottom, then it's behind everything else. So let's stretch out our tiled background, make it fit your space, hit play, and see how it looks. Now we have a ground that our characters are walking on. Maybe later we can add shadows and stuff, but I think for now that's a good start. The other thing we want to add is after we defeat this enemy, we want to have other enemies that are like spawning in and attacking us. So let's create a system for that. I'm going to go over to my event sheet and actually let's make a group for these events from last time. I'm going to right click, I'm going to add a group. These are all the character health things that we added for our last part. I'm going to throw this in a group real quick just to keep it organized. And now let's add a new event. This event's going to say that every certain amount of time, let's make a new enemy spawn. Let's create a new enemy, right? So under system, if you go all the way down to the bottom, there's an option for every X seconds. We can have something trigger every certain amount of time. We can have enemies pop up every maybe 5 seconds or every 10 seconds. Or if you want to make it more random, you can type in the word random. So now every random amount of seconds, a new enemy will spawn. We have to say the lowest random number it can pick and the highest random number it can pick though. So I'm going to add a parentheses behind it and let's choose the lowest random number. So this will be the fastest a new enemy can spawn. Let's say, 3 seconds and then a comma and then the highest amount of time it takes for an enemy to spawn. Let's say, 10 seconds. I'm just kind of making up those numbers. We'll see how it feels. So every random amount of time between 3 and 10 seconds, let's add an action. Let's go to the system and let's create a new object. We'll create an enemy. Now, it needs to know where to put that enemy, right? It needs to know the X and Y location of where it should be created. For this, what I would recommend is we don't necessarily want to see the enemy pop up on the screen. Maybe they just run in from the sides. So say the X location, what if we keep the X location at 0? That'll be the far left edge. Or we can even go negative numbers. If we say -50, that X location is actually off the side of the left side of the screen. So we won't see the character spawn or the enemy spawn over there. It'll just run in from the left side. For the Y value, we can choose a random Y from 0 at the top of the screen to 1080 at the bottom of the screen. So just like with the time, if I type in random and then the lowest value, which is 0, comma, the highest value, which is 1080, then it chooses a random number between 0 at the top or 1080 at the bottom of the screen. So now every random amount of time it's going to create an enemy 1 over on the left side. So I defeated my first enemy. Here comes the second enemy running in from the left. And every random amount of time between 3 and 1, a new enemy will attack me. Now they're all coming from the left though. So what we could do is we could also say, maybe choose to either be -50 over here on the left Or if we have a number that's higher than 1080, higher than 1920. 1920 is the far right side of the screen. We can have enemies come in from like maybe, 1950 or 1980, and they'll spawn in from the right side. So we can do that too. In fact, this is a good opportunity to talk about another thing too. On the X value, I've double clicked on this, create object enemy 1. On the X, let's type in the word choose. What choose lets us do is that it'll pick any numbers from the parentheses behind it. So say you want to do either -50, which is the far left side, or maybe 1980, which is the far right side of the screen. It'll choose randomly either a 50 or a 1980. The reason why this is better than random, because if we did random, it could choose any number between these two, which might mean it's 50 or 100 or 150 or 200. That could be anywhere in the screen. But if we do choose, it'll only do either -50 or 1980. So choose and random, I use these a lot. They come in really handy. Let's try it out. So now they should start running in randomly from either the left or the right side of the screen. Here's one from the left. And here's one from the right. Great. Okay, our game is starting to come together. I think we can leave it there for this video. Let's save it. And thanks. I'll see you guys next time.